everyone. Welcome to another episode of Call to Action Live this Saturday night. We have some fun stuff to talk about. It's always interesting trying to think of topics to discuss during the off season, but we've got opinions we'd like to share, so I guess it's probably about time that we will get to talking about it. Starting with my guest, Alex. How are you doing tonight?
Hi. I'm sorry. I just realized that we didn't have an overlay, so I was like, wait, and then I'm like, wait, never mind.
That's why.
But the host is always on that side, so I'm just gonna take that off. Yeah, I'm doing good. I was doing some card games with some family, so I'm pretty psyched. I've had a pretty good day so far. How about you?
I've been doing pretty good. Real quick, before we get too started, can you please tell people how awesome that game is you were just describing to me, guys?
Yo, okay. Guys, let me just pull it up real quick.
We're gonna have a non-sponsor, but still gonna shout it out moment.
Lucas actually got this like a year or so ago, specifically for the Action Army household. So when we got together, but then they started canceling, obviously, and that never happened. But so sometime next year, guys. So definitely stay tuned for this. It's something I'm excited to do. So it's a game called Pitch Storm. It's a card game, and so essentially you have however many competitors, and you're pitching your story to one executive that's making a decision of like which one is like the winner. It's kind of like apples to apples almost, essentially, but only with no pitches. So essentially, I have an example of, there's different kind of decks, like date night decks. There's an NC-17 deck. There is a superhero deck, all that good stuff. But you are given, say, a character card and a plot card, or say two plot cards and a character card, and they're random. So I'm going to be getting two plot cards that I have not seen. And so essentially I am going to, in 45 seconds, I have to tie in these two events to each other.
I'm guessing they're amazing.
Oh my gosh, I have to tie in a snobby art critic goes undercover to infiltrate their favorite boy band while also planning planning a heist to steal the queen's diamond butt plug.
I mean, that sounds like a call to action type movie. I think we would definitely look at that one.
Yeah. And again, I have 45 seconds to pitch it, but the executive has to give his notes for every person that has their 45 seconds to do a pitch. And so like maybe they have 16 seconds remaining, and their note is, and so their note is, okay, that's actually not a good one. Okay, so let's say, so one of the random note cards the executive has to give out is, and they kind of randomly have to give them out is, okay, now, what if we set this whole movie inside an elevator? So you have to kind of tie in their notes into your pitch.
Oh my God.
Real quick thinking, all in a span of like 45 seconds. It's really fun. It's weird.
And doesn't Schmoedown make it too?
I don't think so. I'm not. It sounds like something they do. I don't know. But it's so much fun. I can't wait to play with all y'all, and it's such a blast. I really can't wait. I want to play this while drinking, like it definitely is.
Alcohol would make that game even the more the better.
I mean, it's perfect for the Action Army household, so,
The game is called Pitch Storm, right?
Yes, Pitch Storm.
Storm.
A party game of amazing movie ideas.
That looks awesome. I definitely have to play that sometime. Well, speaking of which, is a very good segue into games, because we are actually doing a contest tonight. I don't know if you guys watched, but a couple days ago we had this amazing draft special where representatives from C2A and outside in the Schmoedown and Cinefanatics and things like that represented managers and did their own draft. And it was a fantastic episode, which honestly everybody I feel like needs to enjoy, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. So what the contest is if you can go tweet out the link to that video and just say like, hey guys, check out this awesome draft video if you haven't seen it or whatever. And then let us know in the chat that you did that, and you'll be entering a contest to win a C2A shirt of your choice. Whether that be chill, whatever it is. you can get one and we'll send it to you. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's awesome.
People will be in the chat monitoring whether you enter or not. So,
can I get it? Can I try putting in my name for a shirt? I would love more C2A shirts. I only have the one.
If Jake's ideas,
I'm really excited. I was really honestly, look, I did a bunch of research and everything for mine, but it just comes down to I heard that there's a lot of competitors and managers actually did respond to it. Like Kaiser responded to mine because I was representing the dungeon, and he's like, "This is a great draft. I am 100% am backing a lot of these picks." And I know Sean Sullivan, he was drafted to Danielle, who was representing the Rock Stars, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm actually really into this. Good job."
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, I was interested to see what people's response would be for that. I thought you guys did very well. So, absolutely. All right. So, our main topic of discussion, we're going to try to keep it up so a little bit shorter this week. So then, of course, I picked a topic that literally has like 19 things to talk about. So we may just mention some of them and really deep dive into others. But we are talking about the survey that got sent out about the upcoming awards. Award season is upon us, and there's a lot of really interesting rewards. It's a little different this year because we have factions and we have more managers and things. So I think it's a really different game this year when it comes to the awards.
Yeah, there was a handful of comments in the chat regarding the sweater.
Yeah,
so I just want to
it's a glorious sweater.
This is an obnoxious sweater. Like I find this action so relaxing.
I feel like Christmas sweaters, the more obnoxious they are, the better. Like it's like part of like the reason you wear them. So
absolutely,
totally killing it with that sweater. All right, well, just going into the topics of the awards. The first one that was on the survey was for Player of the Year. And the people listed to be possible nominees was Adam Collins, Jeff Snyder, Dan Murrell, Chance Ellison, Chandra Tripapani, Brendan Meyer, William Bibiani, Andres Cabrera, and Mark Andreyko. The awards, I love them, but they're also like the hardest thing ever because like how do you like choose? Like just narrowing them down to 5 is hard with all these categories.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I mean, thing is, we all have a lot of very different definition of what makes a really great Schmoedown competitor. So what really marks it down for you is going to be different from me. And let's face it, my priorities when it comes to Schmoedown are going to make it different for you guys. Like I prefer character and story so much more over like a record. Like Stacey Howard, rock star to me this entire season. Oh my gosh. Same for Eric, for Zipper as well, and a lot of these other competitors. So, and then obviously a lot is going to narrow in, but someone I really think is going to be the dark horse of this category is Chance Ellison.
I absolutely agree with that. He has had a fantastic season in 3 different leagues, and absolutely, Chance is just one of the greatest players I think currently in the Schmoedown. Like hanging out with him and stuff like that, just seeing the amount of work and time he spends studying. Like at dinner, he'll study. Like it's incredible the amount of work he puts into the show, and his character work is just getting better and better every time we see him. Like he was just quiet originally, especially like last season, and then this year he after last spectacular, he found his voice. He's starting to get his character going, and absolutely, I could totally see him being, especially at least one of the 5 selected to be an actual nominees. But yeah, he could pull out a win. I could totally see that.
Absolutely. He did have for a good amount of time this year. He also had the team's belt, and but again, for some people, it's all about being incredible in 1 or 2 divisions, like Ace Cabrera, Andres Cabrera, or Adam Collins, who did amazing in singles and did pretty good in teams, but he didn't, get to the finals in the teams division. So, but compared to someone like Merle that, who had the singles belt up until a handful of days ago, spoilers again, but also compared to, some other, where we also had the team's belt up until, somewhat recently as well. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a hard decision.
And absolutely. And then one person that I always kind of root for, even though I sometimes don't always understand why, is I'm a Snyder. Like, oh my gosh, but he can also, there's another award that he also, I feel, qualifies for pretty well, but dominating in teams, did so well in singles. You said, like you said, personality work is so important to you. It is to me too. And I love Jeff. Well, Jeff's character is kind of Jeff, but I still love it. So like, I could see him making it to the final 5 as well. It wouldn't surprise me.
I think that Snyder, honestly, I have gotten into full-on arguments with many of people regarding my feelings towards Schneider, because I think, again, he's grown so much as a character, as a competitor this season, and I posted on Twitter. I was like, oh, to all you new fans of Snyder, welcome to the club. I just want to put out there, he's always been wonderful, and he's been a belt holder in numerous divisions for however long, but now you're a fan now, I guess. Okay, sure, but welcome to the club, so good job.
It's a fun club to be, guys.
So great. I'm glad he's getting love now, though, so that's what matters.
I agree. He deserves it. All right, and then the next award that was on the list is for Singles Player of the Year. Potential nominees is Adam Collins, Dan Murrell, Jeff Snyder, Liz Shannon Miller, Ethan Irwin, Barbarian, The Kid, Ben Bateman, William Bibiani, John Roca, Mark Riley, and Stacey Howard.
I think it's pretty obvious it comes down to 2 competitors.
I really think you are right as well. I think we're probably thinking the same ones. I mean, what? Dan Murrell and Adam Collins? Is that what you're thinking of?
Actually, it's the House and Brett Sheraton, okay?
Yeah. Where is Brett?
Where's the Burton House, okay? That scarf, I swear, is the real MVP of Spectacular. That silver scarf. Oh, fabulous. So good. It's so good. Adam Collins, he's done so much in so little time. It's such an amazing achievement. I don't want to forget the amazing achievement that Murrell has also done by defending the belts this season exclusively. As amazing as he has. It's fantastic to see, and that's so rare. We get a champion to defend the belt so well for so long. Like, not everyone can be Alex Bateman, okay?
We all strive to be, but very few do.
We try. We don't succeed, but we try.
But yeah, I absolutely agree. I think there'll be 5 nominees, but I think it's going to be out of those 2. And really, I think it's going to depend on the type of voters we have, whether it's people who are super into rookies this season or people who like the tried and true players that have been around a little while. And I feel like that's kind of going to be what we'll go into it, is loyalty a little bit, because if you look on paper, both accomplished fantastically amazing things this season. And I would not be surprised. I'll actually be shocked if either of them don't win it. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with that one.
I do think realistically, though, that when people vote on here, I do think that people vote with their heart, not always their head. So they're not bringing it down to the numbers or anything. They go with the competitor that they just feel in their soul is the best in that category. And that's completely understandable. So the answer is Eric Zipper.
Eric Zipper! I don't think he's nominated for this category, unfortunately.
I know, but why the F not, guys?
Amen.
I love him so much. He's so wonderful.
Zipper's the best. Yeah, make sure to leave a blank space for write-ins, Harloff. We got to get Eric Zipper up there.
Yo, where's that? What's up? Come on now. Where is it?
All right. The next category is Upset of the Year, which, man, this one is definitely going to be probably a lot of gut stuff. Like, people, I don't think they're going to look at numbers. I don't think they're going to look at, well, statistically, this match had a greater mark. It's going to be which one was I most shocked by or happy about. And the potential nominees are Perry beats Kalinowski, Cabrera beats Laura Kelly, Collins beats Roca, Chance beats Parker, Cabrera beats Dimolanta, Miller beats Bibbs, Damon beats Hannah and IG, Deep 13 beats Tom and Paul, Zipper beats Preston, Final Exam beats Founding Fathers, Brett beats Bonnie, or Snyder beats Ethan. I cannot read.
Now, There is one match in particular that I was mega surprised that was not on this list.
Oh yeah, which one?
Roca versus Collins.
It's on there. It's the third
It
one.
is?
Mm-hmm. Collins
Oh,
beat.
I missed it. I
Mm-hmm.
totally read it earlier today and I totally missed it. Dang. Oh, oh no. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. I totally didn't vote right then. Oh shoot. Oh shoot then.
I'm sure it's gonna probably make the final five. I
Oh
feel
my
pretty
gosh.
confident.
That Perry over KO, what a fantastic match.
Yes.
Laura Kelly over, Laura Kelly being beaten by Andres, obviously. Chance over Parker, I am hesitant to say is a it
Upset.
is a you know
Mm-hmm.
it's considered one of these matches, but at the same time, because they're both rookies in IG, technically going into the IG tournament. So I'm like, technically, is it one?
I
I
think
don't
the
know.
reason it's considered is strictly because of the hype train that followed Parker.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that Chance is any way considered, even before the match, a lesser player than Parker, but just because the hype was so built for him coming into the season that the idea of Parker losing to anybody was not thought of right away. I do agree. I didn't see that one necessarily as upset, just more like oh, interesting. I didn't see that coming, but here we are. But yeah, some of these are so great. But I have to agree, when Perry, who we hadn't seen in so long and we missed her, comes back a swinging and takes out KO, was definitely a highlight of that tournament. Because I mean, I love Mike, I love Kalinowski, but I love Perry and I missed her.
I love Perry so much. Yeah, her coming back to Schmoedown makes me so ecstatic. I love her. Oh, Miss Movies, what up, boo boo?
Thank you.
I love your Christmas photos, by the way. They're so cute. Sorry, off topic. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I do know that someone is mentioning in the chat that technically is not considered a. It was not considered an upset because it was spoiled on Twitch preview. However, I did not know that, so watching it for the first time, I had no clue, and it was a full-on upset to me at the time.
Yep. I heard that there was a spoiler, so I avoided it. So
I'm not a big Twitch gal. I can't.
I've gotten into Twitch. At that time, I hated Twitch, and I was very upset that the Schmoedown had moved some content to the Twitch. I'm adapted now. I figured out how to do things and rewatch stuff, and so I have been converted to the Twitch fan club. But at that time, I was not about Twitch.
I'm still not a fan of Twitch, to be honest. I'm not. I'm not.
I prefer YouTube, but I'm not gonna boycott like I was when it first started.
Yeah. I think it's also, I mean, something to remember. I feel bad because we're going away off topic, but when it comes to Twitch, like Twitch streams, I love all the extra emojis and all that good stuff that you can do that's like customizable, which is amazing. However, I can't even try to keep up in the chat at all. So I'm like, I can't read it. It's just moving too fast. I don't know how people are participating in the chat. It's bonkers to me. Like, how?
That is true. The Twitch chat, read them? Like when I was watching the Twitch streams for the Star Wars tournament, I do feel somehow that chat does move faster than the YouTube one. Because I watch the YouTube live chat all the time, and it's not like that. So I do agree. It's real frustrating, especially when there's a larger stream. Like when we do it, we have like 10 people in there. It's pretty chill. It's pretty quiet in our chat.
Yeah, I mean, like it's
we have forever. Thousands of people in there. It can be a bit.
Not news. I've known this for a long time, but it doesn't mean I could like it. Just so putting that out there.
Couples don't share all interests.
Like, cool.
Good for him. Good job. All right. The next award that came up on that survey was Team of the Year. The potential nominees were Odd Couple, Shazam, Final Exam, Who's the Boss, Corruption, Founding Fathers, Deception, The Pride, and Deep 13. Once again, narrowing things down to 5 is hard enough, let alone eventually having to vote for one team. But, I mean, it hurts me to say this because my favorite player of all time is on this team. But I don't feel like Who's the Boss deserves it this season. Other seasons past, absolutely. but I don't think they deserve to be the final 5 this year.
No dip, Sherlock. I'm duh.
I don't like it. It took a lot for me to admit that to myself, Alex. Like, it took a lot of self-talk.
It's a lot to admit, absolutely. When I saw this list, I honestly had it narrowed it down to 3 teams from the get-go. Mm-hmm. And I said Odd Couple, Shazam, and Corruption.
Oh.
Now, Odd Couple kind of slipped in at the very end, obviously, mm-hmm. with, becoming a belt holder, obviously, and doing fantastic. And they lost their first match at the beginning of the year, but they redeemed themselves swimmingly, and they came back, and they're still getting some hate because some people feel like they didn't really deserve it, which is baloney and very hateful. And hi, Lucas.
Hi, Lucas.
And thank you for your sweater. Thank you for your sweater. I appreciate it. And the Shazam, oh my gosh, I love Shazam. They improved so much. They somehow proved that being successful in a digital format is not only you can succeed amazingly well, but you can almost surpass where you were before, potentially. And also Corruption. I mean, they gained the belt, they lost the belt, but they gained it back again. I mean, come on.
I literally cried when Corruption won the belt. I was so happy. I was like, my boys did it. I was so happy for them. And then honestly, it almost happened again with Odd Couple. I'm like, my other boys did it.
They worked so hard. And then I know for a fact, Mike Kalinowski, he had like 30 binders of notes.
And then
he's so hard with Shannon.
And then when Shazam won, I also was like, I don't know how to feel because my boys lost the belt, but my other boys got the belt. Now my other I love these teams. I totally agree with you that these teams are absolutely going to be in the final 5. If they're not, I will cry, or whichever one doesn't. One other team I'd like to put out there as well, though, is I was impressed with for the most part. Final Exam. I love Final Exam. I think that I was not expecting their chemistry to work as well as it does, but their character work together with Winston is top notch. Their gameplay is great. I feel like they do balance each other out pretty well, and big fan.
I would be very surprised if Final Exam and Chandru are not the core trio of Winston's faction for SWAC next season, with Ace being the 4th.
Yeah, the first draft he's going to trade.
Yeah, first draft pick. Putting that out there, just to clarify.
Completely agree.
Yes.
I could see that. Real quick, Alex's husband? Yeah, nah, he sucks. Alex knows. Thank you, Anthony.
I appreciate you so much. You're like low-key one of my favorite people, so thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, that's great.
Just want to say that they were having a little bit of like a rush of people from because Lucas was having a little virtual holiday party with some friends with his D&D group and everything. And I feel like I see some of them in the chat here and Brandy and everything. So I appreciate it. So thanks for stopping by. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next category, Rookie of the Year. I feel like this is going to be one of the hottest conversations that comes throughout the next couple weeks or a few weeks until that awards happens. But the potential nominees, Adam Collins, Barbarian, Ben Goddard, Marisol McKee, Kevin Smith, Vinny Mancuso, Robert Parker, Jader Paramo, Brett Sheridan, Chris Jericho, Jen Kemp, Saul, Sean Sullivan, Clee Wiggins, and Brittany Young. Whew.
That was a mouthful. You want to take some yoga or
just take a breath? I need a strong drink. Because not only do we have fantastic players and they're just in their own rights like that, but I mean, we got some directors and stuff in there now. Look how the league has changed slowly over the years. We have always had fantastic, but we have Kevin Smith and Chris Jericho. I don't follow wrestling, but I understand he's a big deal. I've been told. So
I know, right? That's what I'm like. Like, I know this is like supposed to be like, I feel awful because every time I see him, I'm like, I know you're a big
I
deal in a
know
lot of
you're a big
circles,
deal.
and I just don't know them. Like, but I know people worked really, really hard to get you here, so
Yes.
I'm excited.
And I love
It's
Jericho in the Schmoedown. I love his personality. I think he works fantastic with Roxy. If he stays in the Schmoedown next season, I hope she ends up being able to somehow get him back or maintain him because I think their dynamic's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But the draft, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them.
I absolutely agree. I do think that, you know, Christian has and Mark have mentioned specifically that they're really doing away with the idea of celebrity matches this season and in the future of Schmoedown in general because they don't really bring like they don't really bring much to Schmoedown, but they're there just to really promote their own thing, and that's totally fine and everything. But that's not why we want you to participate in Schmoedown, But someone like Jericho and Kevin Smith, and we're getting some new competitors in next season as well that are just so genuinely fucking nerdy, and I'm so here for it. They like prove themselves. They're not like, they're not like, oh, Sleeping Beauty. I don't know, but I mean, like they're actual competitors.
And they're invested in it. Like that's I think a big part because even if someone isn't as great with trivia or takes them a bit to pull something, but if they are in it and they love it and you can see them working hard at it, that drive is what drives me to characters in Schmoedown and players in Schmoedown is like I love the ones that you can just tell this is like everything to them and because it's everything to me clearly like this is what I do in my free time, so like it's very relatable to be like, yeah, this thing's important, let's invest our time into this and get invested in our emotions in it as well. And I think that's so important. And that's the thing about I think it was Malcolm put in here. That's one reason I brought up how the rookies look this year is how are people going to vote this year? Because you said some people vote with their gut, some people vote with, oh, I know that name a little bit better, I'll just kind of go with that, or they go look at the stats and the numbers, be like, okay, well, this person won by this much this many times and things like that. I love them being in the Schmoedown, but I do hope they don't get Rookie of the Year because there's other people who have done more this season to get it this year.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. There's some competitors that were on the list that have not won, including, Jericho, obviously, but he is so really wonderful. And same for Jen Kemp. She is absolutely wonderful. But she is, in both divisions, 0-1, and IG as well as singles. As far as I remember, I don't remember her participating in teams yet, but I'm sure in the future that will change. And there's Clee Wiggins as well. She is 0-1, and Brett, he's technically 1-0 or 1-1. I'm not really sure.
Not entirely sure.
I'm not entirely sure, but I just want to say what's up to the overall the Bandit Brigade for 7. But I know that's the group that's like hopping in.
Okay, we have a salute. Do the bandits have anything that we need to do?
I don't know. Maybe the finger at each other. I don't know. I feel like that's more on brand, but I could be wrong. Maybe the finger. Let's run with that. No, oh yeah, you're right. It's called "Kaka, motherfucker." Let's run with that. Let's run with that. Is that your call sign, y'all? Kaka, motherfucker. Every time I see Hawkeye in any of the Avengers films or anything, that's what I want to say in the background. I can't explain it. That's what I want to do. And I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. Okay. I'm sorry, but I think it's pretty obvious when it comes to this. Jericho and Kevin Smith obviously did amazingly well. But I don't think their matches really compared to a rookie competitor as Adam Collins. So that, and also all the love that he's received on his end.
Yep, I absolutely agree. Adam Collins is probably the one I have my eye on the most for Rookie of the Year, but Barbarian, oh my gosh, just like what he has done this season as well, was fantastic. And there's so many people in this category that it's going to be super hard to narrow it down to 5, but which is great. That's a great sign for Schmoedown that we have that many rookies, and it's that hard of a decision to be like, who are we going to narrow it down to 5? Because, oh my gosh, look at all these people on this list. So it's great. Love where Schmoedown's going. I'm so proud of this thing that I've liked for so many years has just turned into what it has. It's just
right.
It's like I remember this like this little thing in a little room.
It's wonderful. It really is.
Yeah. All right. Next category is Comeback Player of the Year. And on here we have Andres Cabrera, Eric Zipper, Lon Harris, Liz Shannon Miller, Jeff Snyder, Perry Nemiroff, Chance Ellison, Andrew Dimbalanta, Mark Andreyko, Ethan Irwin, Greg Alba, Stacey Howard, John Humphrey, and Mike Kalinowski.
Is Mike Kalinowski really considered a?
That's what I don't understand either, because he was fantastic last season. Like he had one, lesser match at the end of the year, but the rest of the season was. So I don't understand him being considered a comeback player because I don't feel like he ever left. You know what I mean? Like
right, he's kind of like Bibbs when there was like I remember earlier this year, it was like sometime in the early summer or something where everyone was like, Bibbs is back, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Where did Bibbs go? What do you mean back?
Like you can be like, okay, well, like in season 4 or something where he had a run of matches where he lost, but like. Where you been?
Have you been paying attention?
And also, who are you? Yeah, I do think that it comes down to with this one in particular, comeback. I'm trying to think of competitors not only that just didn't have a great match towards the end of last season, but a competitor that actively didn't do great last season. So, and versus compared to this season that did actively amazingly well. So, Andres, I think, is definitely a conversation. Perry, we haven't seen her in a long time. It's definitely in the conversation as well.
Yep, I agree.
But yeah, I would be cute, like if Chance came back as like a potential singles champion or something like along those lines, like next season, I can be like, okay. Comeback competitor of the year, because his singles record isn't great compared to his teams or IG. So.
Okay. Real quick, Anthony Nugent. Jake, get what's up. Go Jake. Yeah, go Jake. Woo! And then for the English majors, Jake. Thank you.
You know what? Let's just go back to the other one. Just go back to the other Jakes. Jacques.
Yep, I like that other spelling better.
Let's call him Jacques.
I think he would absolutely love that.
It's on brand, right? Jacques, what do you think of your name? Jacques?
Hey, Jacques, in the chat. What do you think?
Jacques. We're not saying it as fancy enough. Jacques?
Jacques,
what do you think of your name, sir? What's going on? I don't know. What's happening?
Oh my god. Okay. Back to Comeback Player of the Year. Another one. Sleep on it. Talk to us in the morning if you still feel the same way. Anyways, another person saw in the chat come up in the chat, and I do agree also, is Andrew Dimbalanta. He's always a strong player. Numbers wise, though, he would have these fantastic matches and still come up with the L last season. But this year he did amazing in the Star Wars tournament, and to the point where he gets to have that match to try to get that Star Wars belt. It depends on what you look for in a comeback player, because if that is the O's and ones, the wins and the losses is what you pay attention to, then he absolutely did fantastic this season compared to last season. So
absolutely.
Yep. All right.
I think real quick, what is his record? Is it technically now 2-2 or
I don't have
3-2 or
The chat will probably find it before I do, but I'll look.
I do know, honestly, that I'm not a Star Wars girl. I've been very vocal about that. Star Wars is not the division for me, and I understand that. It is for competitors like you, where it's like it is your favorite division. Absolutely. I don't care about the movies or anything all that much. However, this Star Wars tournament, oh my gosh, it was so great. And Andrew's match against Grimshaw, was about which competitor was more right. I mean,
right? Like they have the same answer, but slightly different. So which one's slightly more accurate than the other one? Like, I think we'll talk about that match in a little bit for but absolutely, like hit that match. Yeah, we'll come back to that match because it will come up again. Real quick, this next one, which I don't think will actually be real quick. I think this will be a good discussion, but it's one of my favorite new awards because this is a whole new thing. Faction of the Year. And the potential nominees are Corruption, Swag, Rockstars, Finstock Exchange, Quirky Mercs, The Den, The Usual Suspects, The Dungeon, and The Burning Droogs. All the factions. Makes sense. So, narrowing that down to 5. Like, that's so hard because really the different parts of the season, each faction has had fantastic matches, fantastic players, things like that. But there are some that have just been in the conversation more, have been a little bit more active with their matches. Not to mention the managers who lead those factions and their banter with each other. That is one of my favorite new additions to the Schmoedown. So, what are your thoughts? Which factions do you think deserve those 5 spots?
I honestly think it comes down to 3 factions. And between Corruption, obviously, they won the whole faction race or whatever it's called. With, as well as, even though they had 2 matches of Spectacular, only 1 winning, obviously, with walking away from this entire season with 1 belt, with a singles belt. And with Swag, obviously, in a very similar situation, only walking away with 1 belt as well, but nevertheless incredibly consistent throughout the season, which is crazy difficult to do, versus Roxy with the Rockstars. Now, I do think Rockstars are the dark horse with this category, this question in particular, just because they knocked it out of the flippin' park, this Spectacular. They were by far, I feel like, outside of Corruption, the most talked about. And they had some of my favorite moments from the entire season. And so they're definitely not just a real fan favorite, but they're also like the most I wish that was like a category, most improved faction, because they did wonderful. Oh my gosh, wonderful.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. One thing about this award too, as well, is we're gonna say this a lot, but it goes down to some people voting with their gut and some people voting with their head. Like, because the idea of the dungeon not being the final 5 is painful to me. But when I look at numbers and things like, but they're not this season. They I want them to be, but you're right. I honestly, the first 5 on that list are the ones I'd probably have be the final 5. Corruption, Swag, Rockstars, Finstock Exchange, and Quirky Mercs. Because you're right, the Rockstars, like, they ended the year with their 2 belts, well, technically 3 belts, 2 belts, and totally kicked butt. Yeah, they didn't win the faction point race, but when you look at numbers, I mean, like, that's a substantial thing. You've maintained the Star Wars belt, you got the team's belt on a team that, is amazing and fantastic odd couple, but, like, that match as well. Like, just looking at that match and, like, how Roxy as a manager working with the odd couple, I feel like changed the vibe of that match towards the end and helped get those. So like just their dynamic together, I would honestly would not be surprised if Rockstars win this one, even though they didn't win the points race. They've done amazing things this season. But you're right. Everyone else, like I've mentioned too, like the Finstock Exchange started out the year with tons of belts, didn't end the year with tons of belts, but story-wise, there's some awesome stuff happening there. So I like to pay attention to that. And then quirky mercs, just because, you know, I mean, Shazam's done fantastic things. The whole faction did fantastic things, and then Koi is just a treasure.
They were such a dominating force in the singles division. Now, they didn't do too hot in the IG tournament. You know, they put in both John Humphreys and Greg Alba into the IG tournament, and they didn't succeed, you know, very much beyond the second round, I want to say. I know Greg Alba, he won his first match, but his second match was against Matt Kalinowski, like, and his second IG match ever. Like, dang, that's rough. It's like, oh, that's you know, but they have been also very, very consistent, and everyone that's on the Mercs had such a real love and devotion towards Koi and being part of the Mercs family, and they have requested that they pitch themselves to Koi to continue being on the Mercs. So he's seriously doing something immensely right, and they didn't leave they didn't win spectacular, obviously, with the team's tournament, but no faction has more than one belt. As far as I can remember, we have never really been in this situation, honestly. Usually it's a very dominating force one dominating force per division.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely true. So I'm interested to see how things go with that, for sure, because I'm also interested to see next season, because I mean the factions are going to be shaken up with the draft, and some teams or factions are going to lose some players that they love, and so like how is that storyline wise going to go? How is that like actual like function of the faction going to go? I mean the season's going to be war, so I'm excited to see how that goes. Oh, so excited for next season. Okay. Battle! War cry! Okay, next award we will talk about is Feud of the Year. And the potential nominees are Roxy versus Shannon, Shannon versus Winston, Dagnino versus Bateman, Founding Fathers versus Corruption, Chandru versus Smets, Dewberry versus Makuga, Shannon versus Bonnie, Snyder versus Oyama, Roxy versus Winston, Hannah versus Knapsack, Snyder versus Collins, Chandru versus Chance. Honestly, my vote kind of goes with whoever Shannon's feuding with deserves to be in the final five, because Shannon is probably my favorite new personality in Schmoedown for this season. Like, she is just fantastic, and her wars she has with Roxy and Winston and Bonnie and things like that are just so engaging, so funny. I just can't get enough of them. So I'm not gonna lie, she probably fills up a good portion of the five I voted for.
I absolutely agree that Shannon, her and Winston was probably my favorite interaction goes, just because it's been most consistent storyline, you know, pretty consistently throughout the entire season. Plus, again, some of my favorite matches are a combination of those personalities, and I'm so here for it. Also, I do know that someone asked in the chat, you know, how does Corruption keep their top 4 competitors? And the thing is, who are their top 4 competitors? Can you answer that first? And then we can kind of work down how to potentially keep them. Yeah, just want to put that out there, because
we got the 3, but who's that 4th? Like, that's
like, are you including Marisol? Are you not including Marisol? Are you including Laura Kelly? Are you not? Are you going to take out Kalinowski? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I feel like that's a whole conversation in and of itself. But yeah, I feel like there's I do feel like, since this is like the introduction of factions and much more consistent managers and everything, that the real rivalries and back and forth are exclusively with the managers. I don't feel like there's been any rivalries head on necessarily as consistently so with competitors all that much, like beyond a match.
Yeah, you know? Really the only ones I can see that kind of stick out to me is like Chandru versus Smets, just because like that was lots of banter going on outside. But like you're right, a lot of it was just in one match and then didn't really continue or have like that. So I do agree, but you're right, with the managers, like Shannon and Winston just keep butting heads, and every time they come at each other, it just gets funnier and more amazing. So I agree. I think the managers do have a little bit of advantage in this category, just because they're able to keep it up. They're able to continue the interaction, continue the smack talk, over a period of time as opposed to just a promo in one match, if that makes sense. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, that's something I'm really curious is how it's going to translate into next season, where we're going to be getting more competitors. We're going to get competitors that used to be with their managers that they were vocal about being beloved and actively tied to. Like if Marisol gets sent over to the Rock Stars or Finstock Exchange, and let's face it, any manager, any faction would be lucky, nay, ecstatic to have her in their faction. However, there's going to be a moment where she's competing, whether it be on teams and singles, and she's like, hi, you were my formerly favorite person, but not anymore. This is awkward. What are we going to do?
You're right. Absolutely. Like, that's one thing is, like, I'm sure there's conversations happening behind the scenes. Like, hey, if I can, I'm going to keep you. I'm going to do whatever I can to keep you. I love you, stuff like that. But there's only so much you can do in a draft situation. Like, you can try your best, but you're going to lose people. How is that going to affect interactions in the future when they moved on to another team and they're now cheering for that other team because that's where they are? How that dynamic with their former manager is going to go. So that's going to be interesting.
You're also going to be in a situation where, in Adams Collins' case, for Shannon's case, where she has a champion on her hand. So unless he loses really quickly next season to whoever the next, whoever rises the ranks to go up against him, and he loses, and he has to essentially start all over again, there's going to be other people that are going to need to be in his place essentially to rise to the occasion to compete. And Shannon has been very vocal about how she wants her, as much as she loves working with the current roster competitors she has, everyone and the competitors she has actively played, she does want other competitors that she's worked with, like Mark Hoyk, Clee Wiggins, Claudia Dolph, to also have more opportunities to compete, because this season, sometimes schedule didn't work out, or Shannon, she's like, hey, I have more confidence in this competitor going into this more than this. And as a manager, I have to make the decision for the faction. This is not personal, it's business. Mm-hmm. And that's a very difficult decision you have to make in that role. So.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you're so right. One thing about next season that's going to change a lot, though, too, is we're having so many more matches. We're going to have 3 per week and then 3 throwdowns. And so, are a lot of those throwdowns going to be belt exchanging matches? So is the belt going to move around more? I mean, not necessarily if someone retains, but there's a possibility of the belts moving around more going to happen this season, because you're right. If he, has the belt and it's 6 months from now is when the next attempt at the singles belt happens, then she's not earning points with him. He's just going to be sitting there. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing managers do need to consider when they try to get their players back and retain. It's if they have a belt, they're not going to play much. Especially Alex Bateman in Star Wars, because there's really not that many opportunities for him to defend it already, let alone, when he's won. So, hold on again. Okay. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so those are things they all got to consider. I don't envy them that discussion, because, I mean, it's kind of like picking players in kickball, and you're like, I don't want to leave that, people behind, because I want to pick everybody first, but you got to do this, and so they're gonna have to. And I mean, which also, speaking of which, we can kind of just go into the next category on there, which is Manager of the Year, because we're kind of talking about the managers right now. So Manager of the Year, potentially Shannon Barney, Winston Marshall, Roxy Stryer, Tom Dagnino, Coy Jandrew, Kate Mulligan, Sam Levine, Kaiser, Ken Knapsack, and RMB. We're already on the subject, might as well dive into that. So
RMB is on the list?
It's on the list.
That.
Yep.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. All right.
Again, I think my top 5 are the first 5 listed on this, who I voted for, or I think I might have. I don't remember. But Shannon Barney, if she's not top 5, then something happened, because not only did she win the faction race, but just what she's done for rookies this season. When you bring a player they've done fan league things, which is very similar to Schmoedown. They do base it to be as close to Schmoedown as possible, but it's still a different thing when you move over to Schmoedown. So her being able to incorporate them into not only the factions, but into the league itself, welcoming, get them used to things, and then be so successful as they have, like especially with Adam and things like that. She definitely needs to be in the final 5, like hands down.
Bates, I mean, honestly, I would argue Shannon already is in the conversation as the best managers of all time. I also think that's because up until this season, we haven't had that many managers. And this is the first season that we've had actively great managers, like real good managers, not just voice boxes, not just managers that are really great on the mic and help for occasional motivation. I'm talking really great managers to help train, actively strategize, and work with, motivate, and work with these competitors through their issues when it comes to performing and training and whatever it may be. And managers are really stepping the F up. And because of that alone, Shannon not only coming in so great, so quickly, in so little time, already made such an impact. 100% Shannon. Winston, also wonderful. Yeah. Also, my favorite moments of the year with the manager, Roxy.
Yep, absolutely. And then like Koi, just watching Koi's like energy as a manager, things like that. I'm like, I keep saying this about a lot of managers. Like Shannon's always been the one I said like that's who I'd pick if I was asking for someone to be my manager. But really, I think Koi's energy is so energizing. Like if you're feeling like down, you just be like, "Come on, Kelsey, you got this." And I just feel like, "Okay, I got this." Like he's like a battery, and I feel like that is just a great thing for a team, especially big matches. Like if you are down a little bit, feeling a little down about yourself, like that little energy boost could make a huge difference. Just that level of support that he has. So, so many good manager. And then Kai, I just love Kaiser. Like Kaiser's just the best. So.
I think Kaiser's really, really fantastic. I think this upcoming season is going to be significantly better. Kaiser is kind of a similar situation as Kate. Mm-hmm. Right, and when she manages the den, she's been very vocal about it. How this year she really came into Schmoedown a tad later than other managers, because originally it was supposed to be Emma Fife, obviously at the beginning of the year, but then she dropped out, and Kate was put on a little less minutes as backup, and she's up until this point she wasn't super familiar with Schmoedown, and it was very much a learning curve for her this season, and she was kind of learning what it means to strategize, challenging, and working when it comes to actively managing during the match itself, because it's a learning curve. It's not easy.
I can't imagine.
It's not a walk in the park. Just putting that out there. It seems like it is. It's not. And so I'm most excited for them and how they're going to work out next season more than anything, because they have most to gain going in next season. So that's what I'm excited about.
I agree. I feel like, I mean, everyone they drafted is fantastic, but maybe just like the way they've drafted, who stuff like that didn't work out as well for them this season, but maybe next season I've learned some things. Like, okay, we don't need as much IG players, for guys like that. I need to get more singles and things like that. Just like that balance as well, I think will make a huge difference. So I'm interested to see how that happens with the draft, because I think their headspace is way different this time than it was last time.
Yes. I'm really curious to see if the accent is going to be coming back, Yeah, Tam. Boy, I got some teeth for you. I got some baby teeth. Is that what you wanted, Tam? I got some potatoes resting for you.
If the accent is really gone, I'm going to be really sad, because I was a big fan of it, especially with Tom. Like that, it's just.
I really did. I loved it so much.
I loved it so much.
I'm really curious about Grace.
I am so interested to see what happens.
Grace, Kate had one of my favorite moments of Spectacular, and Grace ended up being fired. And Chandra, when he came onto our Spectacular special after, he actually presented a theory that Grace is going to be coming back as an advisor, only to Bobby Gucci to reunite the Lions Den.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And I was like, oh,
I'm in.
What?
Sold.
What?
Your receipt. I'm in.
A throwback to the Lion's Den. Guys, do you not remember the Lion's Den in the earlier seasons between
I would like that because I love Grace. She's one of my favorites, and I would be sad if this was. I don't think this is her quitting the Schmoedown, but always why worries me when someone's storyline stuff lets them go or something like that. I'm like, is that because your schedule doesn't work anymore and so you're gone, or are you showing up somewhere else? Please be showing up somewhere else. So
sometimes just Nikes. For some people it is. There's some things you just can't control. Like Emma Fife, there are some other things going on, and she just said, "Hey, priorities, work things. I just don't have the time, the abilities to put myself in this situation the way I would want to." And I am so grateful for her being very upfront about it and saying that rather than just going through the season kind of half-assing it.
Yeah.
Because that's the worst. I don't want that.
Yeah. I agree. Like if you need the time for yourself and for your career and things like that, take it. Like it's better than that than you being stressed and trying to manage everything at the same time. And so.
And she's literally like a host of her own show now. So, which is amazing. I'm so ecstatic for her. I'm so excited.
Favorite things to do is follow her on Instagram because she does like a daily wardrobe picture. She's like, look what I wear today. I'm like, oh, so cute.
Oh, love her. Love her. I do want to mention there's been no mention that she wants to manage with Gucci again, but it was a theory that was presented by Chandra when he came on for our spectacular special, and it's great. I was like, ooh, great moment.
All right. Next category, entrance of the year. The possible nominees are The Fortune Fluffs versus Smith, Real Rejects versus The Pride, Bonnie Somerville versus McKee, Real Rejects versus Cuckoo's Mess, Shazam versus Final Exam, and Barbarian in the Free-For-All, horror free-for-all. I mean, I have my favorite because I was in it.
Oh, really? Do tell.
In the promo for the Fortune Fluffs.
I know you are, girl. I know you are. I was like, my girl.
I'm
in it. It's great. It's official.
But also, I'm not gonna lie. I think that's still my favorite entrance of the year, just because it's what we've been wanting for almost a year now since quarantine stuff happened, and my cat's trying to knock my lamp over. And then it finally happened at the Smith match. So, and just the music and his outfit and the scarf, as you brought up earlier, is just so glamorous. But some of these other ones, Barbarian and Horror Free For All, is pretty amazing as well. Like there's
fantastic. There's the only hesitation I have in picking a winner for this category is that I feel bad trying to compare in studio versus in person.
That's true.
Like, come on, like
I know.
apples to oranges. And also, why wasn't Gray Drake nominated?
Right? Okay, thank you. Because
like, what the F? What the flippity fly? Okay, that is obscene.
I agree. Like I kind of brought up this before we started. Like maybe it's kind of talking about categories that we would like if they were available, and that aren't a category. And mine is costumes. It's not as much since the home streaming thing has happened, but that's what my favorite part about Schmoedown is when people would dress up to a theme and things like that. I mean, it's part of the entrance of the year, but also I feel like having a quality costume adds to it and things like that. Like things like Janine pulls off and things like that, I feel like deserves even extra attention. So like if we could ever have a costume category on top of the entrance of the year category, I'd be happy.
And again, Gray Drake.
That was my Gray Drake.
With her vino, with her rosé, it was magical.
It was magic.
I mean, it was
again. We need a write-in option, Harloff.
Where's the write-in option, Harloff? Come on. It was really fantastic across the board. I have a hard time choosing a winner for when it comes. I don't like comparing digital. So I ended up I put down a digital and studio thing personally because I know you can do multiple answers on these.
Yes.
So that was what I did.
I think I did something similar. Honestly, I don't remember. I remember 2 of who I voted for or rooted for the 5 of this category, but I don't honestly remember the rest of them because that's how good my memory is. But
Right. And just get ready because it's going to get a million times better with next season.
Yes. And just telling you though, the Foot and Blouse was one I picked because
The Flirt and Flash is so amazing though. That was actually my digital pick, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, it was so good.
The scarf.
The scarf, the glass.
He tried to get into my concerts and I was like, he tried to get free tickets and I was like, no, you're not even this. Why would you deserve to get tickets to that for free? And I was like, I want more.
I want more. Can he have his own?
I want more.
Brett Sheridan as a Flirt and Blouse sitcom. Some place pick it up, as I would watch that.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
All my monies.
All the money. I don't have the money, but I would figure it out. I would figure the F out of it.
Flirt and Blouse TV show that we'll put out somewhere.
Yeah, it's only available in Austria and Germany, so you can't just be anyone in order to see a Kelsey. So
fair enough.
Sunglasses.
All right, next category: Heel of the Year, and the potential nominees are Chandru the Chosen, Shannon Barney, Brandon Hanna, Jeff Snyder, Elliot Dewberry, Laura Kelly, Roxy Stryer, Mike Kalinowski, Ben Bateman, Mark Hewitt, John Roca, Ben Goddard, Adam Collins, Tom Dagnino, Zafrit and Flaus, and Grace Hancock.
It's pronounced Hoik.
Hoik, thank you.
Hoik. Just for future reference, he corrected me when I asked him, and I was like, oh, whoops, I feel like an asshat now. So. And I just want to double check, what was the category?
Heel of the Year. I guess 15 seconds of Ben Bateman qualified him for Heel of the Year because he was a face last year, wasn't he? Yet he was the same.
He was a face this season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like his
personality, the last 20 seconds.
Yep. I mean, I usually vote for Ben for almost everything, but I don't think I'll vote for him for this. I mean, he's on the baby face. I'm looking ahead, and he's on the baby. So, like, I guess it depends on how you end the year, is what category you're in, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. I would probably, as far as, I do wish that there was a heel manager of the year and a heel competitor of the year. Same for like face manager and face competitor of the year.
I see that.
Because obviously managers get much more screen time.
They get a lot more time for the character work. That is very accurate.
So I mean, like, again, apples to oranges. But I feel like it's kind of pretty darn obvious it's Shannon. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right?
Yeah, I definitely think Shannon will be on the final 5. Probably, I see her taking it. But some other people Brandon Hanna's character work this year has been pretty fantastic. Like, just like, first of all, he came after us. Like, I mean, that just makes you evil at that point. Like, you don't come after Call to Action. So right there was one thing, but like just this whole season, it's so consistent. Like in the chats in shows he doesn't appear on or appears on and things like that. He's just very consistent with it. I think it's pretty great. I'm interested to see what happens with the power couple next season.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I would be curious to see if it turns out if they're not able to be drafted on the same faction, though, how that would turn out.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, like, I would love for them to be in the same faction. And, they're kind of insinuating that Hannah's going to be in the dungeon, based off of a lot of the tweets and stuff that, he's been sending out. When I tweeted out my thing on Twitter saying, hey, Kaiser, what do you think is my draft list that I did or doing it as you? And he said, looks great. We need to get you on the blah, blah, blah thing. And Brandon said, you don't make any decisions without me. And Kaiser responded saying, wait, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. He responded saying, if I can find it, that would be wonderful. That would be so awesome. Okay, so Kai just starts off saying, I think we need you on our coaching staff, is what I think. Call my associate, add Brandon Hanna to set up a meeting. Brandon Hanna said, I don't work for you. You work for me. How many times do I have to remind you? Kai just said, you're really pushing it, pal.
Dun, dun, dun.
So there's like,
There's some stuff going on. I mean,
there's something going on here. There's something going on here. Like someone's like setting some names on some dotted lines, and I gotta get some answers here pronto.
Oh, see, and back to like this conversation of heel of the year. Like, I feel like that just like adds to it. Like, he's just even on socials, he commits to the bit, and it's great. So, and what else stick out for you? Oh,
Roxy.
Roxy, yes.
Roxy, she is. I think she is by far. Again, she is my personal favorite manager this season. Again, some of my favorite manager moments revolve around her, and she is the epitome of what makes a good manager in the actual match. She is on top of it. She knows how to strategize. She knows how to motivate and really work with her competitors, which it doesn't seem very hard, but it can be very, very tricky to do depending on who you're working with. But she's like really super mega heel in the groups, like on Twitter, and the Facebook groups. I'm like, girl, I see you. I see what you're trying to do, and I respect that.
Yep.
I respect that. So, and plus she calls herself actively a heel, so I'm here for it.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely love Roxy. I love her character work. I love how she interacts with her team and everything like that. And you're right, like her promos, it's like the way she does it, she's just makes you feel bad for like about yourself too. You're like, man, I am a loser, and I because I brewed like she's so good at like just hammering down how much better her player is than you and everybody else, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, but yeah, she's my personal fave.
Yep. Next category, face of the year. Potential, the kid, Kevin Smith, Coy Jandreau, Andres Cabrera, William Bibiani, Winston Marshall, Perry Nemiroff, Liz Shannon Miller, Brittany Young, Dan Murrell, Paul Oyama, Lon Harris, Alex Damon, Mark Andreyko, Brett Sheridan, Gray Drake, Andrew Ghai, Kate Mulligan.
Brett Sheridan's a face? Like a baby face?
Brett Sheridan's a baby face.
Interesting. Also, Winston Marshall's a full-on baby face?
He's listed as a face. Yep, baby face. Kate Mulligan, I mean, like, she had her turn at the end. Once again, like, she was very heelish with Grace the entire season, and then is one cutscene going to swap her category? Like, I don't understand that, really.
It's a similar situation to Ben,
I guess.
I think a lot of people are also kind of forgetting that there's a difference between being a manager that is holding firm to that's being vocal about your beliefs as a manager, and there's a difference between that and someone being like an active, aggressive heel.
Yep.
Like Shannon, she's a heel because the way she attacks you and the way she does X, Y, and Z, she's going after you specifically, versus someone versus someone like Gucci, for example. I don't think he's like a full-on face, but he's also he would say, he'll say that his competitor is a winner because of X, Y, and Z, but he'll never, and he's going to go into it and he's going to kick some ass, but at least this season, he hasn't flat out said, and your competitor is a pile of dog shit. That's the difference, versus a heel manager will say that. So,
yeah. That's fair. That's one thing about these categories is there's some that are clear what side they're on. Like, absolutely, there's no way in heck the kid is a heel. Like that one, but then there's some very big gray area with a lot of these competitors where it's like you have your face moments, but you're technically a heel, or you're a heel, but you have your face moments, and it's sometimes hard to try to segregate, divide them up into what you think on paper they should be.
I honestly, I wasn't really sure about Winston technically being, to me, he's kind of a tweener. He'll attack the competitors and the managers, but I don't feel like he's a face, especially a baby face. Like,
yeah, someone
he's
mentioned
too aggressive to be a baby face. Or am I just still messing up, what defines a heel? Do I still not know what a heel is, guys? Is that it?
Here's the thing. I think heelness and faceness is on a spectrum, and how you and I in my brains categorize it is very strong on the ends of the spectrum. Like a heel is going after people and stuff like that. Baby face is sweet and things like that. And there's the tweener category. I think they're kind of deciding they should still be nominated, so they're just kind of shimmering them over into face and heel, even though they're all tweeners. Like a lot of these competitors are very much tweeners, but they're forcing them over categorically for awards, if that makes sense.
Can you be a tweener or a face manager and manage a heel? Like, Chandra is 100% a heel.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, because I would put Winston as a tweener for sure. He's definitely not a heel, but he's definitely, I don't feel like a face either. He's a tweener, but I think they had to put it somewhere.
But by no means a baby face. Like, what the F?
Yep. Sometimes I am. It happens occasionally. Usually people take pictures or write it down because it's rare, but it happens occasionally. All right, next moment of the year. The Merle versus Collins post-interview. Shannon drafts Dewberry. Merle's disbelief when he says, "I won," when beating Bateman after a 6-point comeback. Lon crashes teams match he wasn't in. Kevin Smith gives Chris Jericho Kevin Smith. Bibbs and Draco have a touching moment in the post-interview at Spectacular. Ghai first discovers the Schmoedown. Chandra wins IG title, shares moment with Winston. Mara returns. The Flouse takes over for Brett. Stacy guesses Anthony Hopkins take lead over Zipper. Ghai gets abducted. That one just makes me concerned. We've tried calling him. We've tried to get in contact. We have heard nothing. Like, seriously, we've heard nothing. So,
wherever he is, I just hope he's okay.
Me too.
That's all the information I want. He's our dude. He's our Lord and Savior, Andrew Ghai. We need answers.
If anyone hears from him, let us know, because we have not.
We will give you a sum of T-shirts if you provide
some of T-shirts. That's all we have to offer this world.
This works. We'll give you a mug with our logo.
We'll give you a mug.
Want a sticker? We'll give you stickers.
Let's bring Ghai back.
Please. Now, what was I thinking? Another moment. Honest to God, still is Shannon Barney telling Christian Harloff, "Watch this," at the award show, walking on stage. "I'm drafting Elliot Dewberry." And everyone screams, everyone stops breathing for 45 seconds.
And then Josh got in the corner like,
screech. Like, glasses were broken, windows were broken everywhere.
I mean, my eyes darted to Josh when it happened. He just stood up like
temporarily.
That honestly is probably still my favorite moment of the year as well. I loved that moment. I already loved Shannon, but I think that moment, like, I'm in for a good time with Shannon this season. This is gonna be good.
Yeah, it's what I'm looking for. Like, oh my God, girl. This would, honestly, we can make an entire top 10 moments of corruption of the season, and that would be in the top 3.
Yep. Oh, so good. So I don't know if I necessarily put it in the top 5, but the one like we're just kind of sort of talking about, I'm interested in is what happened to Ghai. I think that is the biggest question mark of all of them. Like that one, like the moment itself was spooky, and like everyone was expecting to find out who the Schmoedown was finally, and then it was a big major cliffhanger. And I love cliffhangers. Apparently, a lot of people on Twitter don't like cliffhangers because they were upset. But I'm just riveted to where he's going to go next season, and hopefully find him and make sure he's okay. But I don't know if I put that in the top 5 because I don't know. There's just so many other moments that like tear the heartstrings in a different way that it's hard to vote in front of, if that makes sense.
Again, that's like my personal favorite moment, just because it's created that huge reaction across the board. One of my other favorite actions, specifically, one of my other favorite moments from this season in particular was, I didn't really know how much I needed was until Spectacular, when Shazam and Odd Couple really kind of came together and they really gushed over how much they really actively loved each other as competitors and obviously as people. And I was overwhelmed with emotion. Beautiful.
There were many moments I cried this season, just because, especially, I think my favorite, like you were just saying, the favorite moments is when either competitors who are on the same team or competitors who played against each other but have very strong respect for each other were just like having those moments together, which just good 5 or 6, I feel, moments like that in this category. It's just, because then also the whole thing of being quarantined and not getting to see anybody for so long and just seeing this virtual love. And I'm like, I just wanted, if this was a live event, there would be a group hug happening right now. Like I am witnessing a virtual group hug that cannot happen in person because of things that are happening. And so it just makes me feel it even more, because I'm just like, I miss live events. Like some of these moments would have been live, and it just so there's a lot of feels while watching them. So this category was really hard for me to narrow down to 5 when I voted. Like it truly was. I don't even remember which. I just know that Dewberry was one of them for sure. That I because that's my favorite.
It was such a great match overall.
I got to it, I clicked it, and like, oh no, I'm voting for that one.
And his transformation just adds to the whole story.
Yeah.
How he looks like an extra from Men in Black or something. He looks like he could be an apprentice to Antoine Chigurh from No Country. Like there's something going on there.
Oh, so good, so good. All right, now going into teams again, we have heel team of the year. Options: Corruption, The Pride, The Odd Couple, Deception, The Experiment, Category 9, and The Butcher Boys.
We're heels.
We're heels. I mean, I feel like they have to be there because.
I mean, come on.
Yep, I love them.
Are the Odd Couple technically heel team?
They're listed as a heel team.
I mean, like, what are they?
I feel like Jeff kind of brings the vibe, but I feel like Mark's a pretty good counterpoint to that. You know what I mean? They balance each other. I mean, yeah,
it's almost like who's the boss. I would never consider who's the boss being a full heel team just because one competitor is
Ben's
kind of a heel.
Snappy.
At that point, he was actively a tween, not a heel. So it's like,
yeah. Again, I think it's the same thing as we were talking about with individuals, is that there's a spectrum of it, and there's a lot of tweeners in the teams, and so they just kind of shove them one direction as opposed to the other. And I think the Odd Couple is definitely like a tweener group. I think they balance each other out pretty well. Mark's a sweetheart, Jeff's got a mouth on him, and they balance out to be this great tweener team. There's questions in the chat.
He came downstairs to make ramen, and he kept like walking around doing this to me. And I'm like, I was actively trying not to look at him. I'm just gonna do what he did for a split minute.
Okay. Oh God, that's distracting. Oh, talk about power couples. Luke Ellis Max and Lucas Shawshek. There's a power couple we need to talk about.
While waiting for his ramen. Never straying from the... Like, what's going on here?
Looks like it's about to have a villain monologue in a movie. Like,
right.
The reason you are here.
No idea what's happening. I would have to say, really, like a team that really slipped in as a personal favorite is also Category 9. At that point when they came in, I was actively surprised at how much I thoroughly enjoyed Category 9, not only as a team, but the dynamic that they had. I really hope that's not going to be the last of having Brandon in a team's division. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Interested to see which ones get the final 5. I'm like, Corruption, I would be disappointed if they did not make the final 5 because they're like the heel team. Like they like almost created. They didn't create the genre, but like they brought it, revamped the heel team when they became a duo. So interested to see. All right, Babyface Team of the Year: Shazam, Final Exam, Witching Power, Tom and Paul, The Real Rejects, Founding Fathers, and Rogue 2.
I'm sorry. Is Final Exam a Babyface team? Like what? Seriously?
I feel like the revamped Paul this season is kind of Babyface-ish, but the Delinquents is just a loose cannon. I feel like you can't put him in a box. He's just
doing whatever he wants to do. He's like the Catwoman of Schmoedown. He's just like, he's not necessarily bad or good. He's just like hanging out, and whatever's happens. I would have to say though, honestly, Babyface, 100% Shazam. That moment when Brendan came, like Brendan Meyer, he came over. He's like, "I'm so sorry, bitch." I was like, "Oh God!" Oh, and the final match. Do you not remember that?
So cute. So good, great moment. Love it.
Every single time. And Biz's response, "Hey, no worries. You're human. We can't know everything." And I'm like, "Oh,
it's so sweet."
Babyface moments of the year.
I love them together so much, and you're right. Like they're just like they're so sweet together, and they're like dynamic, and they're like always like, "It's okay, buddy. We're gonna get through it." It's just like they're, and then with Koi Energy, there was like this bubble of positivity that is infectious. Like you can't watch a Stam match and be like, "Oh, I'm so cranky now." Like you're just like all stars and rainbows and sunshine, and
makes my heart warm.
Yeah, so good. His ramen's ready.
Sorry.
All right, next one. New Team of the Year. Options: Final Exam, Deep 13, Tom and Paul, The Pride, Cuckoo's Mess, The Witching Power, and Deception.
Repeat the question.
New Team of the Year.
So rookie team?
Mm-hmm.
New team, rookie team?
Yeah, so they're not necessarily rookies, but it's a new mashup of teams. That makes sense. Like it's a newly formed team.
So a rookie team.
Yeah, the team is a rookie. The players aren't necessarily.
Oh yeah, like Final Exam, 100%. Obviously, I mean.
So that's honestly, for sure, I feel like definitely gonna be one of the final 5. Final Exam, because like they are just fantastic. I think they are not only one of the best new teams, one of the best teams, period, in the Schmoedown right now for both skill and entertainment. So they are definitely on the list for me for the 5 that will make it through to the final awards. Mm-hmm. There's only 7 teams here. Sadly, only 2 are going to make the cut for the awards. So I don't know who I would necessarily pick for that. Maybe I probably would not have Tom and Paul be in the final 5. I do feel like their showing hasn't been exactly up to some of the level of the others. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree 100%. The only other team that I think would be put in the conversation is Deception. Thing is, as although we only had 2 matches, they played 2 fantastic matches, and they're both with rookie competitors so they're like a true rookie team by definition, and they made such a huge splash, and they are by far the most beloved rookies we've had in a long time.
Yep. No, absolutely. But yeah, witching power, 2 badass babes. I love them so much. So excited to see them be in the league now and things like that. So definitely I put them in the 5 too, because I think they've fantastic start. Can't wait to see them next year. Hopefully they'll be kept together for next season, because I love them together.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. I would love them together. I don't think it's likely, realistically.
I know, but
I want them back together.
I want them back together.
They were clearly dangerous together, and I have a hard time picturing anyone would leave that opportunity on the table where they could come back together. Kind of like Deception.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one's gonna trade Marisol. Like, if whoever ends up drafting Marisol, if they were not going to be going to corruption, for a fact, no matter what kind of trade is offered by Shannon, they're like, F no, you already have 2 bomb teams. No.
Fair. That's fair. All right, now this one's the big one, the category-wise, because it's match of the year, and I don't think we really need to pick 10 that we think are going to go, but we just done a discussion. But 10 of these can make it to the final vote. So for match of the year, options are Merle versus Collins, Merle versus Bateman 1, Odd Couple versus Final Exam, Dimolanta versus Grimshaw, Dimolanta versus Cabrera, Corruption versus Founding Fathers, Merle versus Bibbs versus The Kid, Merle versus Bateman 2, Merle versus Irwin, Odd Couple versus Shazam, Smith versus Jericho, Howard versus Zipper, The Kid versus Collins, Cabrera versus Kelly, Ellison versus Kalinowski, Ellison versus Parker, Oyama versus Snyder, Irwin versus Roca, Makuga versus Dewberry, Marisol versus Bonnie, Odd Couple versus Deception, Bibbs versus Barbarian, Miller versus Bibbs. I know my top 2, because off the top of my head, so I'll just bring up those. Merle versus Bateman 1 in Atlanta. Just the energy in that room. I mean, part of it could be biased because I was there, but the energy in that room was just going up and down, and one person's the lead. It was just like nonstop excitement. And then also I was sitting behind Merle's mom, and so it was this weird energy because I'm rooting for Bateman, and of course she's rooting for Dan, but yeah, we're getting along so well. It was such a good live event. And I loved that match. It was just the stakes were so high for me. And then the other one we talked about earlier, which I said we're going to talk about again, is Dimolanta versus Grimshaw. That match was just, you're right, the only reason it went one way is one person was slightly more right. They had the same answers, really, but one was slightly more right. And it's just an incredible match. It was just a mind-blowing match to watch, and it was definitely one of the top ones for me. Which ones stick up for you? Besides Lucas. Oh, you're muted.
You walked by and said this.
Finger guns.
Nothing is ever wrong with finger guns. No clue what's happening. My favorite match the entire year, I said it before, I'll say it again, Eric Zipper versus Stacey Howard. I know it didn't have the most impact. I know it didn't have it wasn't as spectacular or anything along those lines, but that match surprised the heck out of me about how dramatic it was. It was fantastic. It was so great. I had no idea what was going to happen, and I loved it. So
yeah, absolutely. Because anything to get Zipper a slice, because Zipper deserves everything, because he is one of my favorite competitors in the league, and we don't see enough of him. And then Stacey, same thing. We don't see enough of her. I love her. Her entrances when they do not just the studio. I think she's pretty entertaining virtually as well, but especially in studio with the costumes and the energy she brings. And then those guesses that are, whether they're guesses or she found that piece of information buried deep, deep, deep in her soul or something. I don't know, but every time it's just like, she did it again. Oh my God, she did it again. It's just such a good match.
It really kind of frustrates me when I hear people talk about how a person is not as good as they think. I mean, as people proclaim them to be, and that's really, really frustrating. And that's a conversation I've heard numerous times about Stacey Howard, and it's frustrating, and also incredibly sexist. And it's really awful, just because she is in this situation where she does have the knowledge, and just because sometimes she guesstimates, literally just like any other competitor.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have made it seem like, oh, she doesn't have the same kind of knowledge by comparison, and therefore shouldn't be in the conversation as other competitors that say it more confidently from the get-go. Like, calm the F down. She knew the answer.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you'd think at this point she wouldn't be underrated. Like, as many times as she has done what she has done, and yet I feel like she still is, and it's completely unjustified.
Actually, honestly, I do think as of now, I do think she's properly rated, and just considering her record, she doesn't have an amazing record, but she does play consistently pretty solid across the board, and whoever ends up getting her next season, it will be very, very lucky to have her. Mm-hmm. I would love to see her not only in singles, but also teams more next season.
Yeah. So, more Stacey, the better. I'm never going to turn down more Stacey. All right. And now this next category we're going to bring up, it's our category, podcast of the year. We're not going to have like a discussion because all these shows are fantastic, but we are going to say that everyone that's been listed because we want to give them a shout out. So who's been listed for podcast of the year is A Certain Point of View, Call to Action, some weird podcast, I don't know who they are, Let's Get Ready, Cinema Fanatic, Schmoedown Replay, Schmoes of the North, Mount Schmoedown, Repeat the Question, Beyond the Schmoedown, Gucciverse, The 5-Pointer, Spin from the Reel, Champs Lunch, The Ultimate Schmoedown Show, JTH, After Dark, and Machine Mondays. Love all you guys. Super excited to be able to be honored to be on the list with you guys because you're all so amazing and we just love you. So we're just going to spend this next 30 seconds or whatever just saying how much we love you because you guys are all
great. I genuinely love all these shows. They're all amazing, and I'm really actually surprised that we haven't had more after shows that are more faction specific as a result of this year, like a corruption specific after show or a Rockstar after show or anything along those lines. Yo, what's up with that?
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. That is one, okay, slight segue. That's one thing that did surprise me this year is I thought there would be more like choosing sides. Everyone would like lump themselves with a faction. I was excited. I was going to buy merch. I'm like, I am going to buy a Finstock Exchange t-shirt and I'm going to rock it at events and things like that. And that's one thing I didn't feel like I saw this year is like faction loyalty per se. Like, I mean, like you'll like 4 or 5 of them, maybe even something like that, your preferences, but like, there's not like, that's my faction.
Mm-hmm. I do think it would be, that's not, honestly, I don't think that's anyone's, I don't think that's a problem of the competitor, sorry, not the competitor, but the thing is, they're not exactly making it easy for people to rep their favorite factions. Like, you can't exactly buy a t-shirt with the Den.
Yeah.
Or corruption on. You actually, Scarfly, you can get one with corruption. Because they were a team before, but it's different. You know, there's not specifically a Rockstar shirt you can get unless you kind of make it yourself. Mm-hmm. So that's a little frustrating. I do hope that's something I was really hoping to get this season, you know, with more merchandising opportunities and things like that. And I know Skybound, they did do that a little bit, but
there was very much. The merch quality that Skybound put out was great. Like the imaging was great, the quality of the actual fabric of the shirts and stuff like that was great. Yeah. But the choices were limited. I would like to put a comic card to be like, can we please get faction shirts next season? Because I would totally every single episode of Call to Action be wearing a faction shirt for whoever we're talking about or things like that.
Does she have one? Is it specifically to Schmoedown?
Does she have a
True, I
rock
don't know.
stars shirt? Because
Or is it like more like specifically like Roxy specific?
yeah, we don't know.
Answers. I need answers because I want to buy stuff.
Yep.
Come on. That's what I want.
Yeah, I agree. I like Schmoedown shirts. I think I own 16 of them. I have a problem, and I want more of them. So I want, 7 more shirts for the rest of the factions. Yes, JTH Synfanatics, give them some love. They're great, and they every year get overlooked, and it's not fair. But then again, they have to narrow this down to 5, and to me that's painful because everybody's so great.
Yes, I feel like it's really wonderful that everyone is really wonderful in their own individual ways.
Yep.
And like every show, every channel, like Let's Get Ready, Certain Point of View, the 5-Pointer. I mean, they're all wonderful for so many different ways, individually speaking. Like I feel like I'm not good at certain stuff that you're great at, and there's stuff that Let's Get Ready is good at that I know that we can work on. And I feel like everyone has strengths and weaknesses.
We all learn from each other. I have a great community. We've done a few crossover episodes. I would love to do more crossover episodes with everybody because they're always fun. So, anybody watching this on replay or is in the chat and you want to do a crossover episode again, let me know because they're fun. I like it. Love hanging out with you guys. All right. We have 2 more categories to go over real quick, which this used to be 1 category, but it's been split. So, starting with Inner Geekdom Player of the Year, options are Chandru, Mike Kalinowski, Chance Ellison, Brandon Hanna, Kevin Smets, John Humphrey, Greg Alba, Janine the Machine, Jen Kemp, Alex Damon, Eric Zipper, Robert Parker, and The Barbarian. So for IG, what are your thoughts?
I feel like there's one clear answer. It's Chandru.
Yes.
100%.
If we're talking 5 people, I would definitely have on there is Chandru, Kevin Smets, probably Chance Ellison. But I think you're right. I think he's going to pull the win this year. I mean, but he's managed to accomplish. I think it'd be hard not to. Anyone else jump out at you that possibly would be in the final 5?
Other competitors are obviously Chance, Mike, as well as Craig Gainier, obviously. I think he was a real surprise when it came to IG. There are competitors like Parker. I think he's wonderful, but he won one. He won one and lost one, and I think he's fantastic. And I think he has a huge, amazing career ahead of him when it comes to IG. But he didn't prove it with this season. I know he's going to prove it next season. But Craig knocked us out of the flipping park. We had no idea he was going to go into sleep.
Really.
He didn't even plan to go into it from the get-go. So I'm very impressive.
Absolutely. Totally agree. It's one thing for going into something like IG, that's gonna be my specialty, it's gonna be my focus. I'm gonna study, I'm gonna do the binders. He literally had a few weeks notice, like, hey, want to do some IG? And he's like, sure, I'll try it. And he kicked butt, and that's fantastic. So I totally agree with that.
Got to the quarterfinals, dude. I mean, having a few weeks notice, what?
Yeah, imagine next season. Gosh, because now he's like, oh, that's the thing he's gonna be in. Like, okay, I'm gonna be in IG. I'm gonna focus on that a little bit. He's gonna be scary.
He low key pulled a Ben Bateman. Did you hear that?
I could hear a voice. I couldn't hear what he said.
I hear this random and that's what I hear this from Lucas upstairs. That's where his office is. But it was, I was just like, what's going on up there? But I do think that he, Bateman's kind of made a joke saying that I can totally get into the Star Wars division if I only had 60 days. And everyone's like, okay, bro, chill. Let's calm that shit down. Okay.
A little bit. I mean, Ben, I'm Team Ben, but
it doesn't mean you're gonna win or even win a match, at all in the slightest. Yeah. And Craig had 2-3 weeks to prep. He had no clue getting into Schmoedown. He never even considered getting into IG. He just wanted to play in teams and singles.
Yep.
What? What?
Uh,
That's insane.
I think next season, he's already a force to be reckoned with, but I think now that's he is an IG player. Next season's just going to be out. All right, and the last one we have for the night is Star Wars Player of the Year. We have Andres Cabrera, Alex Damon, Laura Kelly, Joseph Scrimshaw, Andrew Demolanta, Sean Sullivan, Adam Witt, Covedo, Molly Damon, Ken Knapsack. I don't know how this one's going to go. I know who I think should win, but also the other person I think that could very well win it is also justified in winning. Alex did not play much this year. Yes, he maintained the belt again, but he didn't really play that much. But Andres did, just dominating through that whole tournament. I have my eyes on him winning more than I do Alex, to be perfectly honest. And there's also so many other people on this list that are fantastic. But I think Andres is going to pull the win for that one.
Can I give you a hot take?
Yes. I love your hot takes.
Yeah, I don't know if you like this one. Andrew Demolanta.
That's fair. I can see that.
Again, I don't care about Star Wars. He made me care about Star Wars with his matches. Not to say Ace didn't. His matches were fantastic. I love his story arc. And the thing is that Alex Damon, but I mean, like, we say he doesn't deserve to win Star Wars Player of the Year just because he doesn't play that much, because he is literally like the 6-7 time defending champion. Like, that's insane.
Yep.
So we can't really hold him winning against him.
Right.
But Andrew Demolanta, not only did he, I think, redeem himself, from his last season, but he came in so amazing, so on top of it. And I cared about Star Wars at a point where I really usually don't care about Star Wars. So.
That's fair. That's a very good reason. Like I said, everyone votes for different reasons, whether it's stats, whether it's your gut feeling, whether it's your heart. And I felt like your heart is into that one. So I can see that as being a valid one. Mm-hmm. Valid vote.
Yeah, I think Jake kind of put it best where he's like, yeah, he's pissed. Like, remember that face he had when he lost? He was like,
yep.
I lost because of this.
Yep. Let the hate fuel you.
It's like when Fat Amy had that stuck of like pizza burrito. Like, it was like where she was like, I was like, I've been shot, and it was a pizza burrito. It's like, no, it fuels my hate fire. Demolanta had that moment from that match where it's like,
oh, so great. Yep, I agree. I think there's a fire. I mean, I feel like after last season, there was already a fire under him, but I think he just put a ton of tinder and everything in there, added some lighter fluid, and he's in a Inferno for next season. Yeah. So watch out, Star Wars players. He's coming. All right. Well, that is all the categories. Real quick, I'm going to mention again, we did a contest. It's going to be coming to an end really pretty soon, where if you tweeted out the link to our draft episode we did a couple nights ago, and then let us know in the chat that you did that, we are going to do a contest. I will say the name of the winner at the very end of the episode after we do chat questions. During chat questions is when we'll kind of calculate whom is going to win. So yeah, do that real quick before we get to the end of chat questions. Or actually, let's do plugs before questions. Give them some time to quickly do that. So before we get to chat questions, Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me at Real Alex Beck on Twitter. On Twitter, you can also find me hosting a show called Cinema Bias. Co-hosting a show with somebody's side with Drew Grant on her channel, where we dive into our personal movie biases, and we're going to be diving into the movie Scrooged, starring Bill Murray, and neither of us have ever seen.
Interesting.
So we're going to dive into that. So please hang out with us there. And I also host a show called Schmoedown here at the Call to Action channel, where we dive into really hotly debated Schmoedown topics. So yeah, come hang out.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. You can find me at KelseyKens90 at Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me here on Call to Action live every Saturday night and on Chill to Action, producing that on Sundays. And then popping up here and there on other things. Yeah, that's where I am. I do Twitch occasionally. I may do more Twitch. We'll see. I got a new camera and getting my situation. So Twitch is Kelsey Kins Gamer. Follow me there, subscribe there, and hopefully I will have more stuff for you guys pretty soon. All right, so we are going to now start wrapping up the contest. So quickly let Jake know, like in the next minute, whether you just did that, because we will start calculating the winner. And while we wait, oh yeah, I guess we are doing that tomorrow, huh? Tomorrow on Chill, we have Shannon Barney, one of our first repeat guests, because she was here with Mike about a little over a year ago. But now we have her solo, we have her undivided attention, and it's going to be a fun episode. So check that out.
Oh, it's going to be a great episode. Oh, I'm so excited. And I hope we get not so much announcements, but I hope we get maybe a scoop or two in that one.
Yeah. Love to find out why she, her decision-making process, what she did to get to be the winner and things like that. There's so many questions I have. It's going to be great. Also, guys, think of questions, send in to her tomorrow, because it's going to be a great interview.
It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
Okay, let's see. Questions from the chat. The only question is could you still live your life barefoot? How would your day-to-day life change if shoes disappeared? Well, I have a lot of foot issues that require me to wear shoes 24/7 for the next, it's been 6 weeks. I have 2 or 3 more weeks left. And then I'm never supposed to go barefoot if it's unnecessary. So I would be in a lot of pain. How would you do, Alex?
My mom's a podiatric surgeon, and I have a collapsing arch. I am required to wear orthotics in every single one of my shoes. Being barefoot, wearing sandals, flip-flops, or anything along those lines are incredibly painful for me. So F that. Yeah, I can't do it. So I also noticed this was, I think, your 3rd time mentioning it. So are you a real person? I'm not entirely sure. Are you a bot? I'm not sure.
If it comes up again, we'll probably have to block you or something like that, because it has been shown up a few times. So I just want to make sure you're a real person and not a robot. Next question. Malcolm, what is your favorite movie interpretation of Santa Claus?
I'm going to have to Google that. Give me a hot minute. Kelsey,
off the top of my head, I'm not a Christmas movie person. I don't like Christmas movies. I technically sort of celebrate Christmas, but it's not like actual Christmas. It's like my weird version of Christmas. But the movie Claus that came out on Netflix not that long ago, I think it was last year.
Oh, so good.
That is such a cute story, and I think I liked that Santa Claus. So I'm just going to say that one off the top of my head.
Let's see. I think that's a great choice. I'm trying to think of other ones off the top of my head. I mean, you can't forget Jack Skellington is technically, Santa Claus. I think that's pretty right. 100%.
I'll take that as an answer.
And the classic Santa from Miracle on 34th Street is pretty fantastic. Bad Santa, it's wonderful. And I forgot it. I mean, it's definitely in a different interpretation of Santa Claus, but it's the Santa from the patriarch father Santa from Arthur Christmas is really, really cute. Definitely check it out if you haven't.
I haven't seen that one, but it looks cute. I've meant to watch it with my kids, because
I had no idea what I was expecting going into it, but it was really, really delightful. Oh, but my favorite of all time is the original doll claymation one, where they go into the origins of Kris Kringle with
oh yes,
he helps
so cute.
It's
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I miss those stories so much. Where can I find those?
I think there's actually a DVD set at Walmart. I looked at it when I was Christmas shopping, but they already own that set at their dad's house, and so I didn't want to rebuy it. I think Walmart, Target, and places have it.
So good. I think they were made in the 70s, and I love them so much.
All right. Next question. What's the best Christmas present you have ever given or received? Trying to think. I mean, it was a long, long time ago, but the first ever console I ever had was a Sega Saturn, and I got it for Christmas. I think I was 7, and all my friends had Nintendos, all these things, but the fact that I had anything and it was a Sega Saturn, I was so happy. And none of my friends had Sega Saturn. I didn't realize because it was the lesser of things technically, but I felt very special because I had one.
I was like, honestly, I can't think of off the top of my head. Probably one of my favorite gifts I've ever received, honestly, is a wok.
Oh, like for
Wok?
cooking?
Yeah, yeah, because I'm Asian and I grew up eating a lot of Asian foods, obviously. And having a wok in our household was incredibly common to use.
Uh-huh.
I always associate it with a lot of my favorite dishes. But we ended up getting Lucas and I, we ended up getting like a really, really nice wok, and we love using it. You know, we don't use it as much as I wish we did, but it's a really great wok and so easy to use, and I love it. So good.
Very cool. I need to buy one of those. I've always meant to buy one and never have. So Christmas
They're
idea, Mom.
they're super at Asian markets. Get them for like not even $10. Go get them at an Asian market with the wooden handle. That's what you got to do. That's what you
Okay. On my shopping list. All right. Next question. Let's see. What are you most looking forward to season 8?
Great question.
I know off the top of it for me, the name of it says it all, war. I am excited for arguments and feuds and just the kayfabe chaos that's going to happen with the Schmoedown and then the switching of players from different factions. And so, like, that's what I'm looking forward to, is just the amount of conflict I am anticipating for that season.
I'm really excited to see how Skybound is going to be involved.
Yeah.
Specifically. I mean, like, I do know that obviously when this whole transition happened, it was kind of at the, not so much at the beginning of the season, but it happened like a quarter, maybe halfway through it. And that's when we noticed things started to change. And this is going to be the first season that Skybound is having an active role with really getting it going from the get-go, starting with this season. So I'm really excited to see how that's going to play out.
Absolutely. It's going to be super interesting. Can't wait to see season 8. I'm so excited for season 8. It's going to be so good. Okay, question from D-Train. Why are Collins and McKee labeled as heels? Everybody was rooting for them to win this season.
It's because they're part of a heel faction, that's all.
I definitely don't see, well, McKee, I think her character, things like that, is supposed to be like, she's looking for the good, she's looking for justice, but she's got a very stern way of approaching it, you know what I mean? So like so she's almost a tweener in that aspect, where I think her character is a good side of things character, but with like a dark side to it. Collins, I think they're both kind of more tweeners, but because they are in a very heel faction, I think they just get sucked that way.
It's funny you say that, because I don't feel like they're heels at all. I mean, they're literally just being themselves, and they're not trying to be characters at all this season. They have actually been advised not to do much character. She definitely does do, the lady justice and everything, but she doesn't go out of her way to say anything mean. It's not like full on character. It's just like, if anything, it comes off as like a very much a face character. It's Lady Justice. I mean, how is that anything other than a space?
I could think of like 90 supervillains that would name themselves Lady Justice. Justice doesn't always mean good.
Absolutely.
Very
Absolutely.
biased opinion.
In Schmoedown?
I don't know. KO, I think his whole idea with corruption, I feel like, is he felt unjust things happened to him. And
yeah,
so,
but that has nothing to do with his name, though.
Yeah, well, he didn't name himself, but that's still his, like, I don't think justice is necessarily a positive name. It's very biased depending on who has it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yep. See, justice is evil sometimes. Justice League Dark. Let's see. Question. Do you really think Roka sticks with Dagnino? I do not.
I think so, honestly.
I think he's going to. Not necessarily saying that he necessarily really wants to, but I think he's comfortable where he's at, and he's got the heel thing going. I see him being one of the 3 retained, probably, and he'll probably agree to it. I would see that happening.
I can definitely see that happening where he's kind of in a similar situation as Bateman, where he can go anywhere. However, I think Roka is in a situation where he feels like he needs to be the big man on campus a little bit. He needs. I don't know if it's a mixture. I'm sure it's a little mixture of ego and, but also realistically, when you're in a faction where there are so many notable names already, when there's Merle, Roka, and all these other really and Craig, and now Craig, who's like a really notable rookie now, obviously, that they're going to get a lot of matches in teams and singles, and Craig now in IG. That means it's going to leave very little matches for anyone else.
Yep.
So with that being said, he needs to kind of be in a faction where there's going to be some more rookies present as a result.
Yep. Totally see that. All right. That is the last question I'm seeing, so I think it's time to announce our contest winner. It has been selected from a random draw. Jake helped us out with that, so shout out to Jake. Always clapping for you.
You want me to do a drum roll again?
Yes. And the winner of the call to action shirt of your choice that you will have shipped to you once you send me your address so I can send it to you is Party J. Party! Congratulations! I will be sliding into your DMs after the show to find out where to send it and which one you want and things like that. So I will see you in your DMs soon. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for this fun episode. It was great to get to talk about these awesome awards that are coming and just having a nice conversation about it. We love you guys. We hope you have an amazing night, and we will see you tomorrow for the Shannon Barney interview on Chill. Love y'all. Bye.